Apartment Therapy. I'm Christina Goldschmidt, and welcome to my 859 square foot apartment here in New York City. I bought this condo during the pandemic, and it was when I was working at Etsy. I kept the floor plan the same, but did a full gut renovation. So everything from the walls to a whole new ceiling, to refinishing the floors, to putting a new kitchen, a new bathroom. This is my living room. The way the apartment was laid out before was there was a television on this wall and a couch on this wall. People really like to put furniture against walls. And that's not something that I think is necessary. So a couch with a console table, for me, was a great way to transition from the entrance into the living room. I bought this new rug on Etsy, though it's actually a vintage rug, and was able to look through the photos and make sure that it was going to still give plenty of walkway between the defined living space and the kitchen. I wanted to reuse as many things as possible. For example, this chair here is actually an outdoor chair from my old apartment. It was on my balcony. I wanted to have a really luxurious and comfortable kind of throne in this living room. I got the idea that, wait, I could just repurpose this base and get a custom-made pillow for the back, for the base, and then actually have a ottoman custom made to match. One of the other things that really matters to me is always having enough seating. So I made sure to get lounge chairs that also have separate ottomans. The top of the coffee table is left over from the kitchen renovation. You know, when you buy all of this stone, you buy multiple slabs of stone, you oftentimes end up with extra pieces. And that stone just sort of ends up as remnants, or you can't use it. But I think it's really cool if you can then turn it into something like a coffee table. So I went on Etsy and reached out to a metal worker and had them build the base and ship the base to me. And then my kitchen counter guy attached the leftover piece of stone to the base and then delivered to me as a fully custom new coffee table. I don't know about you, but when I'm lounging, it's really nice to be able to just have something to put your drink on or put your snack on. So working with my architect, we made these custom C tables out of the smaller remnants. I was in love with the Samsung Frame TV and being able to hide that television and make sure that it actually was a piece of art. And so that was something I knew I was going to buy for this space. And it was important to me to not buy something too big, but something that felt really good and like the right size. And then what I ended up doing was multiple layouts in Adobe Illustrator of all of the artwork that I had in the apartment to see what would make a really cool layout to make this gallery wall. And so I did probably 4 or 5 different layouts to see what felt balanced and what felt right from a color perspective, so that when I moved in, I could pretty easily have it all hung and ready to go, and I didn't have to worry about planning it and knew that it would work great in the space. One of the things that really excited me about the original apartment was that it had an alcove here in the living room. I worked with my architect to change the lighting and to reinforce the shelf up there, because I knew that it would be an amazing place to hold all of the pottery that I collect for Ikebana. When I was designing this apartment, I knew that there was going to be this future reality of work from home. I needed a space where I could be fully dedicated. And it was also important for me to have a space where I could close it off so that I didn't think about it. If I need to put it away, I can. I wanted to make it feel separate and different and warm and inviting. Walnut is one of my all-time favorite woods and textures, and really a nice contrast with all of the white that's here in the apartment. You're on a Zoom call, I put in a nice, cute white light. It gives me a great glow, but it also looks really good. It doesn't look like it's just a regular ring light. Though I'm dry and I don't actually drink right now, I still really like to have an interesting collection of spirits and wine available for my guests. I have a collection of over 80 unique bottles of different types of Japanese whiskey, and some of them are almost as old as I am, which is exciting. I actually keep all of the blinds down so that it's protected from the light. And I had these custom shelves built so that they would hold the weight of all of my whiskey collection. One of the great parts about my dining room is that it's the light that actually defines the space. Well, I have a lot of dinner parties just for 6, and I believe that a dinner table should be really comfortable, that you should be able to sit at a dinner table for multiple hours and never feel fatigued. So when I found these chairs that were unfinished leather and that were really, really comfortable because they're supple but are still supportive, they feel sort of like a sling, I was really excited about them. Also, they're very low, they don't have a high back, so that makes it so that they don't close off the dining room to the rest of the space. Because I do a lot of entertaining, having the right service pieces is also key. Since these are my main windows, it's where I keep my plant collection. On this side, I keep my succulents, some of which I've actually propagated myself. My mom propagates orchids, and so a lot of these orchids actually are baby orchids that she's given me over the years. Off of my dining room, I actually keep my altar. This is my altar to my ancestors, and I have a spiritual practice every day where I set intentions, light incense to them. The artwork over top of it is actually artwork that I made when I was in college from a trip that I took to Vietnam with my mom and my sister. So welcome to my kitchen. I wanted to make sure that it was really efficient for me since I love to entertain and I actually cook multiple times a week. I knew I really wanted it to be all stone. So I installed a quartzite countertop with the waterfall and then a full backsplash all in the same stone to make it really unified. And I chose quartzite because it's significantly harder and more resistant to staining and scratches than marble would be. When I'm entertaining, I like to set up a flower display, and I actually do a flower display every week so that I keep up with my practice. Sometimes it's a Western display, sometimes it's a Japanese ikebana display. This one is a bit of an in-between. And then I like to set up a cocktail station here on the bar so that people can actually help themselves to a drink and join me while I'm doing the final stages of food prep here in the kitchen. I had to make a choice on how to actually build the front of the bar, and I ended up deciding to make it walnut instead of making it white. I thought that putting that contrasting walnut color would tie in with the office and move your eye through the apartment. And since it was an interior space underneath the bar, it was going to be dark anyways. I originally had bought some clear lucite chairs to go with the bar because I thought that they would be minimalistic and show off the walnut. But I actually didn't like it at all. And so then I went about finding the perfect set of bent walnut chairs that would really tie into that walnut and feel like they were an extension of the bar so that they would complete the look. I also put in some quick baskets all across the top since I don't have a separate pantry here. I do have a 2-bedroom apartment, and I chose this to be my actual room because it's 1, larger, and 2, it's away from the street. It gets less noise. It has smaller windows, and those windows get less light, so I can really create a dark, cocoon-like atmosphere in this room. And one of the ways that I've actually done that is by putting in this dark teal accent wall. It's the only accent wall in the entire apartment. This dark teal actually adds to that sort of richness and darkness in the evening time when I'm going to bed. Normally when you think of a 4-poster bed, you think of something really older or Victorian or something to that effect. But I wanted that romantic element, but with it still being very modern. And so that's why I chose this bed. I wanted to create a very specific color palette in this bedroom. And so I'm sitting on a great yellow bench, and I wanted a nice feminine soft pink set of linens. And then we have that really strong deep teal accent wall. And to pull it all together, I searched high and low to find a great pillow for my bed that would pull all of those colors in. Most people are going to put a chandelier in their entranceway or in their dining room, but I wanted it in my bedroom because at night when I'm going to bed or when I wake up in the morning, I want to look up at something really, really beautiful. Finding the chandelier during the pandemic was really hard. I couldn't find anything online, definitely not something in that size. There were only a few French Empire chandeliers that I could find, and they were giant and ballroom size. So I couldn't actually fly to Paris at the time to go search the antique yards there, but I did realize that I could go to New Orleans. So one Memorial Day weekend, I was able to go down, and in just half a day, I went through 6 or 7 different antique shops and was able to find this chandelier at the French antique store on Royal Street. They were able to even customize it to make it a tiny bit shorter so that it would fit over my bed frame. And also were able to ship it to me so that we could quickly get it up here and install it. So my guest bedroom is wonderful because I can host guests here, but also it really doubles as a big part of my closet. I had custom shoe closets built in that hold all of my shoes as well as some of my handbags. And it makes it super easy for me to see everything so that in the morning when I'm choosing how to complete my outfit, I just open the door and I can see everything in front of me and choose a pair and quickly choose it and go. I think the bathroom is actually my favorite part of the apartment. I wanted to create the most serene space that I could and chose a pattern of stone that I knew when I was relaxing in the tub that I could zone out and look at different elements of the wall and really get lost in it. I wanted to make sure that anyone that walks into my home knows that it's my home, that they see my touches and that it feels like it's only a space that they would get if they were in a space designed by me in a place where I lived. Home means to me the place where I feel most comfortable. It's that sanctuary. It's that place where I'm surrounded by the things that make me feel safe and that actually evoke memories of my travels, of art pieces that I love, of people that I love, and of my culture. What I learned about myself from decorating this apartment was that I am a designer through and through. That I'm going to look for the most best thing that represents not only function but form. And that it all matters to me, and that I want to make sure I'm solving both the functional problem as well as bringing something beautiful into the space. That I really care about both elements. And that is, I think, what the essence of design is.